left-hander up, that he can run that two-seamer. It looks like it's going to hit you if you're a left-handed hitter, and it runs back over the plate. Very, very difficult for a lefty.
Another 0-2.
Right there.
Strike three.
That's the pitch. Yeah, that changeup away has been his strikeout pitch so far, especially to the right-handers, and you know, he's just been living out there all night long. That's a great pitch by Brady Singer. Fastball, two-seamer right on the black. Starts it out. It really starts in that left-hander's batter's box and comes back just over the plate. Working down. Tough for a right-handed hit.
And he swings, gets to the third base, and instead of throwing
that's going to plate the run, though. That's going to plate the run. The run crossed home plate before the tag was applied, and that is going to cut the lead to 1 as third baseman Connor Hood elects to go with the tag rather than the force out at first.
Take a look at why that run counted for the Gators this last inning. So take us through it, Thomas.
All right, so we got 2 outs here. The ball's fielded by Connor Hood, and rather than go for the force, he goes for the tag. And this is a great job by both Rivera to go back to second and India on third base to run hard through home plate. When India touches home before that tag is applied, that run then counts for Seton Hall. Had Connor Hood gone for elected to go to first and got the force out, the run would not have counted. The other thing he could be asking for is a foul tip, because he did catch the ball, and if it was a foul tip, it would be strike 3 as well. Might have tipped his bat, but from that replay, it clearly went over it. Great spot by Dana there. Change up low and away. We've seen it now a couple times to right-handers. Just real effective pitch for him right now. Second time he got him on the change-up this game.
Walking back to the dugout already.
Yeah, nice play by Hood to glove it on the dive. Throws back across his body a little bit up the line. A full stretch by Matt. So we change up again, gets the strikeout. We'll see again here as Schwartz thinking fastball, and that changeup just drops down a little bit, and Schwartz swings right over. Yeah, let's take another look at this. I thought the throw was maybe a little low, but certainly should have been handled, but we'll see again. Yeah. Toke reaches for it. It just goes off what looked like the webbing. He did not miss that one. That one left in a hurry. And just another great job by Ryan Larson to battle Dana, not give in, not chase those pitches down, work the count back in his favor, and gets a pitch, and he does not miss it. Interesting curveball there in the dirt. Guthrie might be a little upset with himself, as that could have been an opportunity to recognize that pitch down in the dirt and take second base. Just may not have seen it well enough out of Politi's hand. But that's something when you're a base runner there on first base. If you see that ball angled down where it's going to bounce in front of the plate, you can get a more aggressive secondary. And when you see it bounce and the catcher go down to his knees with that chest protector. You said going up the ladder, and that's something you're seeing a lot more of from Haley and Paw Sox, and really the Red Sox whole organization up top with those fastballs and get those swing and misses like you saw right there. Ahead in the count, and see the replay here. It's an outside pitch that Rusney pulls, gets real good wood on it, and shoots it through that 5-6 hole for a leadoff single for the Paw Sox.
Herman do the Yankees. Rusney runs, and DeJesus.
Got to protect with 2 strikes. As you mentioned, if there's less than 2 strikes, DeJesus probably takes that pitch, lets Castillo get himself into scoring position. Great idea there, getting that outside pitch, knowing he can lift it to right, and a good job by Ivan DeJesus at second base, tagging up, realizing he can get himself to third base with just the 1 out and give the Paw Sox a golden opportunity to extend this lead to at least 2 runs here in the first.
Yeah, that is a very good at-bat there.
Could have been an opportunity to tag up if caught down that left field line, and not to single out over at first, but he probably could have done a better job recognizing that ball in foul territory.
Again down the left field line. Long run for Frazier. He will reach over the wall, make the play, and tagging at third. Here comes DeJesus. Throw, tag, not in time. 2-0 Paw Sox. You called it, Thomas, on a foul ball. That is great base running by Ivan DeJesus Jr. to double the Paw Sox lead.
Absolutely. On the foul ball, once you recognize it's foul, there's no chance to advance if it drops in. So you go back to the base, and only good things can happen. You read the play, you see he catches it, goes over, and at that point it's going to be a real tough play for him to come back into play, set his feet, and then advancing to second base on it, as he wasn't in a position to do earlier.
Flores a little bit outside. It's slider, and it's 1-2.
Good location by Sheffield. Heading the count 0-2. Locating the slider outside, trying to get Flores to chase. Interesting, they had been shifting Flores previously in this series way to pull. A little more difficult to do that.
Swing and a foul back, and maybe, Thomas, the velocity of Sheffield from the left side has something to do with that, thinking that maybe he won't be able to pull it as much, get around on the heavy fastball for this left-hander.
As well as the third baseman kind of has to respect that runner on second base a little bit, albeit not the end of the world with 2 outs if he is able to steal a base on you. Challenging him here.
And he checks his swing on a high fastball.
And you see Robinson was almost offered at that, and that was a pretty high pitch that if Haley is able to locate that just a few inches lower, Robinson's still not going to be able to make contact with it. Probably would have offered. And he certainly puts in the work off the field, and you say studies the hitters, but it's also in game and reacting pitch by pitch. Watching a few games past few days and seeing a guy look bad on a fastball away, he goes right back to it, gets the rollover, 6-3 ground out, and it's identifying that in real time that's so valuable. At AA, maybe that's fouled off half the time, and then he's ahead of the hitter 0-2 and puts him away. You saw back in the first, he really had to work to get outs, and Paw Sox fouled off a lot of 2 strikes. He really just had to work a little bit more than maybe at those lower levels. The hitters aren't able to foul off some of those, as you mentioned, not bad pitches. And Betts is entering today. He's hitting over 300 since coming up to Pawtucket. Of course, he's done well, but what's really been impressive to me is putting himself in position to dictate the at-bats, getting ahead. When he's in a hitter's count, he's not offering at pitches that aren't really where he's looking for them. And yesterday on his RBI single, it was a 2-0 count. He took a fastball on the outside corner that it was a strike, but it was going to be something very difficult to do anything with. Next pitch, gets a fastball over the plate and doesn't miss it for a line drive RBI. And that's the type of at-bat you're really looking for as you move up the levels, like the guy that just, he's mentally locked in and understands the game.
That was a good slider there, 1-2. I've talked to him about that exact thing.
That's why you see with 2 strikes, guys will shorten up that stride just to limit the movement of your eyes. Just allows you to be a little more fine with that barrel and trying to square up that pitch.
The order for Tyler Wade, who's got a hit, and he's hit it hard twice. That's a really good pitch by Haley. Starts him off with a curveball and steals strike 1.
Nice job mixing up the plan of attack. This 3rd time around, the order to Tyler Wade. Get ahead, 0-1 with that curveball.
Now a fastball fouled off, and it's 0-2.
0-1, it's just a little tougher to square up that fastball because you just can't quite sit dead red on it. And oftentimes that's the difference. It's not necessarily any more difficult of a pitch or anything else on it other than the count you're in. That's why that first pitch, getting ahead of hitters, is so important.
Castillo, he is always looking to swing in the box. A very aggressive hitter.
And I take it back. That was a good pitch. I mean, that thing was out, maybe off the plate, maybe below the knees, and Rusney just went with it.
When you have that real aggressive mindset that you can hit any pitch, almost like a Vlad Guerrero, you're just aggressive and locked in on it. It can be a few inches off the plate.
And Lind is gone.
It's a great pitch by Workman. 2-2, you get a big strikeout with keeping those runners at first and second.
What makes the rivalry so dangerous and fun right now as Workman gets another swing and a miss. How good is Uncle Charlie right now for Workman on the mound?
He's in the zone, has every pitch in his arsenal working for him right now. And if you're Zach Zaner, you're in a tough spot here with the 1-2 count.
And he did not stop his swing.
Great job by Brandon Workman. Not only field his position, but when he fields it here, he clears himself and throws that over the runner. He sees the runner right in front of him and knows he's going to have to get it over his head, and really does a great job of giving Mike Holt over there at first a ball he can easily handle. A little bit of a sigh of relief from Pointer. Behind in the count, 3-1, really had to give him and challenge him with the fastball. And that was a hittable pitch by Clint Frazier.
It was. Maybe a little late run. Thomas kept it barely off the sweet spot.
The importance of getting a ball over there and challenging him in the 2-run game, because
you'd rather have a homer than a walk.
Looked like he went down and got an off-speed pitch from Pointer. Take a look at the replay. Yeah,
he did. That's really good.
And the 3-2 count, that's not a bad pitch from Pointer either. Just got to give credit to Lynn to stay back just enough, as he was out on his front foot a bit, but able to keep his hands back and get the barrel on it, lift it out into shallow right center. Interesting over at first base, Mike Holt now going to play off the runner.
Which you love. You have to do that with a left-handed hitter. You just don't care about that run.
Especially with the 2-run lead. I thought it was interesting they weren't doing it the previous at-bat to Higashioka. And again, you mentioned that overshift in this situation. How open that is to just, if you could poke a ball down that line, it's probably a double.
Get the tying runs. Fans can feel it here.
See if maybe tries to go back to it.
Well, fastball missed in. The runner will go. A late throw, and do they have him? Yes, they do.
He thought it was a 3-2 count. He thought it was a full count. He thought it was ball 4. It was a 2-2 count. I think he got behind the first 2 hitters of the game, but has really started to spot that fastball, throwing the curveball, and he's used both pitches kind of since halfway through that first inning to really settle in. That was an excellent job by Coffers to get over to that ball, glove it, turn around. As he's a right-handed thrower, he's going to the line. He has to turn around completely and gets rid of it in a hurry on the money. And see that curveball again, went to it for all 3 strikes in that at bat. He is not afraid to use that pitch, especially he'll throw it 3-4 times in a row. It's a great play by Coffers out there. Lumbert probably a little upset with himself on the 0-1 pitch. Looked like he might have left a slider up there. Certainly wasn't located where he wanted it.
0-2 fastball up and away for a ball.
Does a good job to lay off right there. It's really a tough spot when you fall behind a guy like Fetterman, who's as sharp as he is with his pitches right now. When you fall behind 0-2, he didn't miss that last pitch with that fastball up. That's right where he wanted it. He wanted to get Gilmore to chase. It's a good job by Cole to lay off it.
When you wonder if there's a pitch count assigned to him tonight. Fastball's in for a strike, 1-1.
Yeah, and part of throwing just the 3 innings, I would say, on Sunday was with tonight's start in mind. It's almost like a bullpen session for him. I don't know the exact pitch count of that outing, but I have to imagine it was similar to what a bullpen would have been.
49 pitches were told on Sunday.
Just no chance. Excellent sequence. You got to credit Fetterman there. Uses 2 hard sliders, spotted perfectly to get up 0-2, then locates the elevated fastball. 90 plus, mid-90s at his ears. He's not going to touch that.
And something clicked for this kid before last season, Thomas. You look at his numbers back in junior college, went to South Florida State, an ERA north of 6 as a true freshman 2 years ago. Curveball drops in for a call strike 2.
And I think what clicked was that pitch you just saw there. Beautiful curveball with the tight break. It's all about the command of that secondary pitch to keep hitters off balance.
There it is again, and this time
they might have the infield in if it was just a runner on third, but with the runner on second, when you give up that range, if a ball gets by you up the middle, it ends up being 2 runs as opposed to just the 1. Coffers on first base with 9 of 10 steals.
Oh, there you go. He's running. The throw is on target, but not in time.
Third time around the lineup. Miami starting to familiarize themselves a little bit more with his repertoire and able to foul a few more pitches off. Yeah, maybe elevated just a bit. Does a good job with the 2 strikes to kind of shorten up and get that barrel on it. Might be discussing a little bit with the pitcher as well as the infield here. With the runner on first with 1 out in the 2-0 count, it's a fastball count. So if you're FGCU, maybe you're thinking hit and run, and that's something that Miami, they're going to have a conversation. Maybe they switch up the coverage up the middle with the second base and shortstop. And by coverage, I'm talking about on a steal, a stolen base attempt. Normally, with a right-handed hitter, you'd have the second baseman covering. Maybe they switch that up and have the second baseman hold his position on a steal to give them a little more coverage and kind of counteract that hit and run. Excellent job by Lovell. Couldn't pull the trigger on the 2-1 fastball, but gets it again on the 2-2 pitch. Elevated a little bit, doesn't try and do too much. Exactly what you draw up if you're FGCU, and a great job by Herring making a pitch. Fastball on the outside corner, gets Tackett to roll it over for the 6-4-3 double play. Will affect kind of the pitches that they can call, and Herring with a good curveball, not as likely to throw that pitch in the dirt with the tying run on third base 90 feet away. Fluck loss, pitched well enough to win, and Miami's not going to be overly upset about losing this game. There's not a whole lot in it. You hate to single out one play, but if you look to the 9th inning when Miami, they had the runners on first and second with no one out, and Tackett up trying to square around a bunt to push them along. He's unable to do so, then with 2 strikes ends up swinging away. A great pitch by Herring on the outside corner gets Tackett to roll over to the shortstop. FGCU then turns it for the 6-4-3 double play. So from Miami's standpoint, instead of potentially runners on second and third, 1 out, you're just a runner on third with 2 outs, and next batter, line drive, center field, ball game over. A lot of what you want to do is, of course, get into the tournament, but position yourself to be seated high in that tournament. As with just 6 teams making it, there really is a premium on those top seeds, much more so than most double elimination tournaments. Coos can run a little bit. He's actually leading the team in stolen bases, which you don't see it all the time out of your 3-hitter, but would not be surprised to see a bunt in this situation.
Leone a couple looks at second, comes home on the first pitch, and there is a bunt attempt, and he's unable to get it down. That's strike 1.
Leone and Brait aware of that, electing to go with the off-speed pitch, which is a little tougher pitch to bunt, and a good curveball by Leone. I've seen several FGCU hitters trying their first time around to offering at those higher pitches and really not having much success. As the 0-2, you see there the high fastball swung on and missed by Alex Brait. From putting the leadoff man on base, obviously you never want to do it, but it's so much easier to pitch around it when the majority of your outs almost come from strikeouts where balls aren't put in play, giving base runners the opportunity to really move up without trying to steal a base. And behind the plate, you've got Austin Hale, who I mentioned earlier, has thrown out 65% of the runners on the season. So they're pretty strong both on the mound and behind the plate, which makes it very difficult for teams that want to run to get in motion against them. Eusebio's first at bat swung through that curveball as he fouls this one back. He was behind in the count 0-1 his first AB, and Gilbert threw that curveball outside that Eusebio was looking for the fastball, swung right through it, tried to kind of get him to do that again this at bat, but a better job to recognize and lay off. Again, going to the curveball to get ahead of Eli Lovell.
Now you could almost say curveball first pitch the way he's been using it.
The problem is it's still not an easy pitch to hit, even if you are looking for it with that movement.
Not at all.
With 2 strikes, a little less likely to make hard contact and a little more likely to kind of roll one over to those infielders. And Eagles head coach Tillett going to kind of play those percentages a little bit. And Leon goes to the fastball up, gets him swinging for the first out here in the 5th to grind out at bats and see a few more pitches and maybe get him out of this game a little early is something I'm sure was in the FGCU game plan. And it's just so difficult when he's coming at you with 95 and a hard curveball and pretty much throwing it where he wants to all night. So he paints a 1-1 fastball in the outside corner to Eusebio. It's a nice job by Mark Coffers after falling behind 0-2 to foul off a couple tough pitches and take a curveball there out into right field for the 2-out single. Pretty impressive at bat from Austin Hale, really not offering at anything out of the zone against Hamilton and finally getting himself into the 3-2 count and looking for the fastball, got it and did not miss it. An interesting third baseman, Jonathan Mayola, he moves over now, but for the first pitch he was guarding the line as if to guard against no doubles, but in a 2-run game, I think he got word from manager in the dugout that's not the play. The strong curveball we've seen from Wilson, coupled with the fact that Profits had a tough go of it so far tonight, maybe a little better matchup for Jake Smith, a left-hander, to deal with that curveball and kind of minimize the effectiveness of it. Yeah, Jake Smith hit it pretty hard. The second baseman, Bruce Martin, in there defensively as a defensive replacement. Nice turn to get the lead runner and really almost nearly ended the game.
He had to move to his left there, so it was a long feed to second, and they still were almost able to turn it.
And actually somewhat of a risky proposition with the 2-run lead in the 9th. If that throw goes errant, they got all sorts of trouble. And not the easiest play, going to your left to pivot, and give him credit, he made a nice play. You're not always running to steal a base in this situation. It's to create movement and get yourself into scoring position on a ball that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to do on a ground ball to the infield, and you're able to beat the play, and he is running.
And there it is, swing and a miss, throw to second.
And
former minor leaguer Thomas DiBenedetto will join us for our broadcasts this afternoon. You don't see doubleheaders in college anymore, so is the mindset different for them playing two?
Yeah, for the players, especially in game one, it's really a similar mindset. You come out just as any other game. Typical BP infield, outfield routine, similar coming to the ballpark. Doesn't really set in for the players until, halfway through that game one where you're saying to yourself, oh, geez, we've got another 9 innings after this.
Yeah.
The one area you might see a bit of change or alteration is in the coaching staff and some of those decisions, whether or not late in games you might pull some guys out of the lineup to get them a little rest, get ready for Game 2. You see behind the plate today, Game 1, giving J.J. Schwartz a little bit of a break. He's over at first base. You got Brady Smith behind the plate. Maybe you see J.J. Schwartz behind the plate again in Game 2. A lot easier to catch that second game as opposed to catch Game 1 and then tough on the knees coming out there Game 2.
Sort of a workman-like performance by Florida today.
Yeah, completely agree. The big thing for me, and I think for Kevin O'Sullivan, was Tyler Dyson and his ability to command his curveball today. He was spotting that pitch effectively, got 4 Ks today on that curveball. And when you're able to throw that pitch where you want to, I mean, that's really what they're going to need from him. They're going to need that pitch working when they go up against some of these bigger schools in the SEC and the games start to mean a little bit more. Again, not to take anything away from Rhode Island, but Dyson probably could have been effective again today without that pitch working for him, throwing that fastball 95, 96, but I think he'll feel real good about himself and where he's going this season after today's performance.
Back with some final comments. Stay with us.
If you notice, Coar started this at bat trying to throw that curveball over, but he missed.
1-1. Another breaking ball there is a strike.
That's the pitch to me that if you look at his last start versus Stony Brook, really the only blip was the command of that pitch.
1-2, changeups low, 2-2.
He obviously has got an incredible fastball, and that changeup is really his out pitch. The curveball, if he could get a little more consistency with it, can really make him a lethal pitcher. Rams second baseman Brodeur again playing way up the middle. Yeah. Going back to that play by Reese, it's impressive to understand and have that mental clock in your head. Sometimes you'll see guys unnecessarily throw that off their back foot and play it into a single. Absolutely. You saw it in Game 1, too, with Janglos. Both guys really just try and move the ball around. They rely on their location and really pitching as opposed to throwing overpowering fastballs. Lays off the high curveball, gets ahead in the count, then he gets a fastball, puts a good swing on it to the left center gap, gives the Rams the lead 2-1. Johnson up around 88, 89. Really kind of a change of pace, a lot harder than anything the Florida lineup has seen all day today, and it might not be 95, but when you've been seeing 84 all day, someone comes in throwing 88, 89, it's a little difficult to just flip that switch. Stathopoulos has kept the Rams more than competitive in this game. He's got himself out of some jams, first and third, back in the third inning, able to get out of that with surrendering just the 1 run. He's really pitching. He's not overpowering, but he's moved the ball in and out. He'll drop a curveball in there to get ahead in the count. It's been pretty impressive so far.
Win like that, and who knows what this will do for the Gator team going forward here.
Absolutely. When you're in the bottom of the 9th and you need a run or you lose the game, it doesn't matter who you're playing, to come back and not just get the 1, but get 2 and walk off with it in the 9th. You know, that's something they will remember as the season moves on. And freshman Jordan Butler, with 2 strikes on him, coming through, getting that hit through the right side there for all intents and purposes. Be easy to fold over in that at bat. They had already tied it. The pressure's not really on him there, but does a great job with 2 strikes, putting a good swing on it, and just a great team win. As Kevin O'Sullivan said there, lost in the shuffle was Jack Leftwich, bouncing back after a tough outing that didn't go as well as he would have liked versus UCF, but he's as much a reason for the final score and the W as anyone tonight.
All right, good working with you today.